On episode 739 of the 40 Plus Fitness Podcast, we meet Dr. Jacques Mora-Marco and Dr. Yun Kim and discuss their book, Walking Your Way to Vitality, integrating walking, breath work, and mindfulness into your daily exercise. Welcome to the 40 Plus Fitness Podcast, the largest and longest running health and fitness podcast dedicated to people over 40. Whether you're looking to lose weight, get stronger, or improve your health and age better, this podcast is for you. I'm your host, Coach Allan, an online health and fitness coach and author of the Wellness Roadmap. Each week, we dive into practical tips, expert advice, and inspiring stories to help you take control of your health and fitness. If you're ready to look, feel, and perform your best, no matter your age, this podcast is the perfect place to start. Let's get you on the path to a healthier, fitter, and more energetic version of yourself. I hope you'll join us each week, and together we can unlock your full potential. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the 40 Plus Fitness Podcast. I hope you're doing well, and I am your host, Coach Allan. I'm glad you're here. And, as I've been mentioning in previous episodes, I just recently went through surgery, and I'm recovering from that. I would love to say that was a straight line recovery, but this is not the case. There have been a lot of gives and takes, ups and downs, but I'm getting better and I'm feeling better, and I'm focused on my health, which is exactly why we're here and what this podcast is all about. And today we're going to be talking about walking your way to vitality. It's a book we're going to profile today. Great guest. I know you're going to enjoy the conversation, so let's get to it. Our guests today are Dr. Jacques Mora-Marco and Dr. Yun Kim. Dr. Mora-Marco is a doctor of traditional English Asian medicine and has been a licensed acupuncturist since 1977. A pioneer in the field of Asian medicine, he took the first acupuncture licensing examination ever administered in the state of California. He apprenticed with Si Han Kim, a renowned teacher of traditional Korean medicine. He is a fourth-generation lineage holder of Sun Tai Chi. He is a co-founder of this international Sun Tai Chi Association. He has served as a clinical supervisor at Being Alive, an organization in Los Angeles that provides free wellness services for people living with HIV/AIDS, and at the PSTD clinic at the VA Greater Los Angeles Health System. Dr. Yun Kim is the founder of Emperor's Wellness, a doctor of traditional East Asian medicine, a fifth-generation lineage holder of Sun Tai Chi, and has practiced mindful meditation for the past 20 years. A licensed acupuncturist in the state of California, she completed her doctoral clinical rotation at the PTSD clinic, the VA Greater Los Angeles Health System, and maintains an acupuncture practice in Los Angeles. With no further ado, here's Dr. Mora-Marco and Dr. Kim. Doctors, welcome to 40 Plus Fitness.
Thank you for having us, Allan.
Thank you.
So the book we're going to be talking about is called Walking Your Way to Vitality, integrating walking, breath work, and mindfulness into your daily exercise. And when I saw the book and I saw this book was available, I was like, okay, a whole book on walking. It sounds, I'm not going to say ridiculous, but it's one of those things where before I really got into exercise and understood this a little bit better, and got closer to 60 than to 40, the walking part makes a whole lot more sense now. And the reality of what I've learned over the years is that the more you think you know something, if you're wise, you realize, gee, I didn't know nearly as much as I thought I did, and now there's a lot more for me to learn. And I learned quite a bit from this book. So thank you for taking the time to put this together and being with us here today.
Well, thank you so much.
Okay, so let's talk about walking. It's a little bit more than just putting one foot in front of the other. So tell me why you felt like, okay, this is a good book for me to step into and kind of cover and what we're trying to accomplish here.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing about this book, is that we are talking about a few different styles of walking. So we have the traditional walk, which is, what you basically do, put one foot in front of the other, even though we do touch on the intermittent walk or the Japanese walk, and also the retro walk, which is very fascinating, walking backwards. And I had seen
Yes.
that at the park 30 years ago when I was in China. And I was saying to myself, that's very interesting. These individuals are walking backward. I had not seen this retro walking till actually this year when I'm at the Kenneth Hart Recreation Park. There's an uphill part of the park, there's a loop, and I see people doing the retro walking. And I asked one of the ladies doing it, says, how did you find out about it? Oh, my doctor told me about it because this is really good to save on my knees. And of course, it helps with the proprioception, it helps the glutes, it helps the quads, and everything else. So, your positioning in space. And the interesting thing about it, as far as the retro walking, which is discussed in that chapter, the first chapter, is that there was an individual, Harmon, who in 1915 walked backwards from San Francisco to New York. He had a $5,000 bet to do it under a year, and he did it in 260 days. So I thought that was really an
Yeah.
interesting
And
fact.
and just going back to the beginning, Dr. Mora-Marco is a treasure. He has been in the field of East Asian medicine for over half a century. And in the early years, he had a practice in Palm Springs, treating full-blown AIDS HIV patients. I don't think we discussed this in the book, but Dr. Mora-Marco, please tell Allan and the audience about those early years of the AIDS pandemic and what you did with your patients. That was
Yes,
really the true inspiration for this book.
yes. So absolutely, that was back in the mid '80s. We're looking at the beginning part of the AIDS epidemic, where there was absolutely no treatments. They were just given 18 months as the average survival rate. And I actually taught them that so called immunity walk, which is a walking pattern with the breathing and walking that was developed in China. And now it's been used for cancer support for the last almost 50 years. So I learned that from one of my adoptive uncle and applied it to those patients. And some of those patients, believe it or not, were able to live 10 more years until the cocktails came about, till the mid 90s. So that was my inspiration. Thank you for bringing that up, Dr. Yun.
Yeah, so we're gonna dive into some of these walks because there's a lot to absorb because this is again a lot more than just putting one foot in front of the other when you really start breaking these things down and some of the benefits that we can get. But let's take that step back. And what are some reasons? And you in the book, you went. This is towards the end of the book, where you actually started talking why this matters. You jumped right into walking. In the first chapter, like you said, it was you were right on into it. You're walking backwards, and you're doing a lot of things. At the end, you started talking about why this was important, and you talked about five uh, actual benefits that we get from implementing a walking practice.
Yes,
Could you
so
share those
yeah,
benefits?
so there's the five benefits. Of course, you have things like longevity, well-being, all the different hormonal systems that get triggered by walking, the positive hormones that get triggered, and the decrease of cortisol, which is directly linked to stress. But the interesting thing about it is that even if you go and look at some of those so-called blue zone, where you have the longevity factor, a lot of people walked, and now the society has changed where you don't see people walking as much as they used to, and that has decreased this longevity factor, decreased the well-being factor, and of course the financial savings is also very important because at the end of the day, if you're not well, then you have issues with all the chronic ailments. So if you want to have a good preservation, I will never forget when I was in China, my one of my teachers, he lived in the third story of this apartment block. There's no elevators in Beijing, no elevators up to the sixth floor back then in the days. So he says, the day that I cannot walk up, I'm done. Basically, I'm not going to be able to go down. I'm not going to be able to go up, and I'm going to be confined to my apartment. So just do the idea of prevention. And Dr. Yun will give you a clue about prevention from the classical text. Dr. Yun, your favorite saying.
We start the book with this very important quote from the Yellow Emperor's Classics, which is the Bible. It's considered the Bible of East Asian medicine. And it says, superior physicians do not treat diseases, they prevent diseases. So treating a disease after it's risen is like casting weapons when the battle's begun, or digging a well when you're thirsty. It's too late. And so really this idea of prevention, preventative medicine, it's the highest form of medicine. We want to keep people well instead of, treating these, cancers and all these diseases. We can prevent, and that's what we want to promote. That we want folks to stay well and to live a long life, but long life without health and wellness and vitality is really not what we want.
Yeah. I kind of wish you could put that quote in the front of every medical textbook of every doctor.
Yeah.
That comes through the American system, because unfortunately the pharmaceuticals write those books for the most part, it seems. And that seems to be the solution for just about everything is, there's a pill for that. And if there isn't one, we'll come up with one if there's enough of you to make it worth our while. And then, yeah, of course, we'll cut it out and then we'll deal with the ramifications of that later if that's the case. And in some cases, that's necessary. I totally get it. But if we can do things to prevent that, I totally agree with you. That's the most effective, not just from a way to live your life, but from costs and everything else. So definitely a better approach.
In terms of preventative, I just wanted to touch, though we might be coming up later on the Tai Chi aspect, is that going back to the 2nd century, that's almost 2,000 years ago, the great physician Watteau, he understood the ability to prevent ailments by observing different creatures in nature and mimic some of these movements. So this was already thought out very clearly that you can enhance your health, you can enhance your balance, you can enhance your strength by mimicking specific animals that are found in nature, like a bird with the agility and suppleness, or the bear with the strength, or the tiger with that power. And if you can capture that essence, that spirit, and the core essence of these movements, which are found in the animal walks, then you can enhance your health and well-being and prevent ailments.
Okay, well, let's start where most of us are right now. And this is where we're just going to lace up the shoes that we have, and we're going to go out and we're going to start a practice of doing this, and we're just going to do a traditional, and I'm going to put an emphasis on the word daily walk. Can you talk about that, how we go about that practice for someone that maybe has never walked before, or someone, that just says, okay, well, it's hard for me, I don't want to do it, or I can't do it, they feel like they can't do it. Well, how does someone really get themselves doing this thing and doing it on a consistent basis?
Well, I always say start where you are. Start with a 5-minute walk. Doesn't have to be miles and miles when you start. And some people, as you say, can't do that. I have my book out on my counter in my practice, and someone waiting in the waiting room said, I just can't walk very far. And I said, you don't have to walk very far. This is part of the training. You start with just walking around your apartment or your house, one block, and then you build. You add a little bit more each day. And so we really want to meet people where they're at. But it's very important to move. As clinicians, we emphasize the fact that people need to move. You need to move your blood and qi. Circulation is such an important factor for health. And people don't know what to do. And walking, almost everyone can do it. It's so simple. You don't need special equipment. You don't need to join an expensive gym. Almost anybody can do it. And being in clinical practice, I've never had a patient come in with an injury from walking. Pickleball, lifting, Pilates, yoga, lots of injuries, but I've never had a patient come in with a walking injury. So it's very safe, very simple, cost effective. And so just start by walking around the block with mindfulness. That's a key component in all of the walks. Bringing full attention to the movement, to the mind, to the breath. That is really the key component in all of the walks that we introduce here.
Yeah. I had a client early on when I was coaching online, and she told me early on, she said, I hate exercise. I just hate it. I don't want to do it. I'm like, okay, well, we're focused on weight loss, so we'll focus on that. I said, but tell me, what are some other things that you're unhappy about? She said, well, I get winded walking to my car in the morning.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, I get that. I said, so here's what I want you to do tomorrow. When you get your car, this is going to be hard, but I want you to do one lap around your car before you get in. And she did that for a few days, and it was hard. And then she said, it's getting easier. I'm like, okay, tomorrow you do 2 laps.
Yes.
And within a few weeks, she was walking around the neighborhood, 10, 15, 20 minutes at a time. It was that slow build of, okay, you start, like you said, start where you are, do a little bit, just find that comfort zone, push just a little, and then you rest, and then you can do it again, and you'll get better and stronger, because that's one of the most beautiful things about the human body is it adapts to what you ask it to do.
Yeah, and I think it's really important to also set your expectation. The 10,000 steps that we all heard about, the Mampo Kai, which is this little pedometer counter that was developed in Japan in the 60s. That's a really high up aspiration. So, even if you walk a couple thousand steps a day and just add on, like you said, 500 steps, that can itself make a drastic change in your health, well-being, and longevity. And then slowly build up on it. And we know now that even walking 30 minutes a day can make a drastic change in your health and well-being.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that people really struggle with is, 10,000 steps for most people, unless you're really tall, is almost 5 miles.
Yes.
And that actually, when you think about going from nothing to 5 miles a day, that seems unsurmountable. But you can build up to that, but you don't start there. So start where you are, get some steps in, and then now you just look for the trend and the amount of time that you do have available to do these things. And I think as you get into some of these other walks, I think the steps will start adding up, because they're going to want to do these other things because they'll see the benefits that they can get. And then it's kind of surprising how 1,000 steps becomes 2,000, becomes 3,000, and so on.
Yeah, and I think it's really interesting in that, in this society, let's say in the States, or if you live in New York and you have to take the subway, or is it subway, the metro, whatever term they have, the underground, you have to get there. You have to sometimes change train. Just little increments add up a lot of steps, but a lot of us live in different parts of the country where they don't have public transport, and you drive a car, and then you just make that change. Okay, I'm going to get to the store. I'm going to park the furthest away. As long as it's safe and you can do that, just park, at the furthest spot, and then walk to your store, and then just carry the grocery or wheel them there. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and it doesn't even have to be the furthest spot. But it's that whole thing of don't park your car waiting for a closer spot. Don't circle like a buzzard looking for the easiest way. Just pull into the first spot that's available, and then walk from there.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I just want to share this interesting story. My daughter used to be a competitive figure skater, and there was one of the very famous skaters, which I'm not going to mention the name, that would actually wait to get a spot. He says, I just don't want to walk across the parking lot. I'm already training 4 hours a day, so I'm going to wait till I get a spot close by and then get in. So, yes.
Just hire people to carry you in there. I don't even understand. Okay, so let's talk about some of these walks. And I think the first one that I really want to get into, because this is an area, particularly as we start getting older, you read the statistics of the number of people over the age of 65 that fall every year. Now, this is not like over the course of their life they're going to fall this many times. It's like in a year, like a third or 2/3 of us are going to fall every single year. Okay, and as we get a little bit less muscular, a little bit less firm, muscle, bone density goes down, the likelihood of that fall being the end of us goes up dramatically. I think there's 800,000 hospitalizations every year in the United States just from falls.
Yes.
So balance is a thing that we all need to be concerned about. And you introduced a Tai Chi. You call them animal walks for balance. Could you talk a little bit about what these are and
Yes.
how we can learn them and incorporate them? They're in the book, but
Yeah.
obviously,
So
can you talk a
in
little
the
bit?
book, luckily we have the technology now to even put QR codes so you can see little video clips. I don't know if you had a chance to see the video clips of the walks. Were you able to see the video clips of the walk?
Unfortunately, I was walking.
Oh yes, yeah,
I had AI reading the book to me, which is going to go completely against our next point in this conversation. But because I'll even admit that fully at that point. But yeah, I had AI reading the
okay.
book to
So
me
anyways,
while I was walking.
yeah, you can watch the video clips. They're very short, under a minute, 30 some seconds, so you get a feel for the actual walk. So let me just backtrack on the Tai Chi and balance. You brought up this idea of balance and so-called fall prevention. And the very first studies that were done on Tai Chi in this country at Emory University, they were done by Rosalind Carter's Tai Chi teacher. So Rosalind Carter, the president's wife, practiced Tai Chi every single day up to her 90s. And it really made a big difference in her general health and was a big, big exponent of Tai Chi and research. So the very first research was on balance and fall prevention. And we know that Tai Chi does improve that. Now, in the animal walk, we have actually extracted a couple of techniques from the Tai Chi set. The Tai Chi set can have 108 different movements. They're quite complex, so it takes time to learn them. But you have three specific walks. One of them is called the cat walk, which is walking like a feline, walking like a cat, where you actually have the awareness of stepping with your heel and rolling into the ball of the foot and transferring the weight. Just that ability of transferring the weight, the proprioceptor, knowing exactly where your foot is in space, that is one wonderful attribute of the benefits of Tai Chi. Tai Chi has so many benefits, but in terms of fall prevention is that. Now, the second one we introduce is the golden rooster or the bird walk, which is actually stepping just like a bird and lifting one leg and placing it down and lifting the other leg to work on the balance, like a one leg stance. They have something similar in yoga, but this is a little bit more dynamic rather than static. And finally, the last one, which is the more advanced version, is called the bear spirit walk, which is walking like a bear, but also affecting the shoulders, the roundness of the shoulders, and a more complex 45-degree stepping pattern. So those three patterns, from my experience, having been involved in the martial arts, Tai Chi, for half a century now, I determined that those three would be the best, and they have had a test of time, because prior to this book, I wrote a book that was published in the year 2000, The Way of Walking, which we introduced some of this work, but they've gone one step further over time and saw the benefits, and a lot of our patients got the benefits. So we can say that from our personal experience and also from research, that Tai Chi walking does enhance one's ability to recover from tripping, to enhance one's ability to be aware of your body in space, and that slow movement really tunes in your nervous system and your space balance. Dr. Yun, you may want to say something about that. Anything else
No,
you want to say?
I think that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the things I see, okay, and this is just observational, but when people are afraid they're going to fall, they shorten their gait.
Mm-hmm.
They get tighter. Their feet get closer together, and as a result, they actually create more risk of falling.
Yes.
It's that duck walk we do on ice. When you know you're going to be walking on ice, you kind of naturally splay your feet out and you don't take big steps.
Yes.
Um, but unfortunately, in real life, that type of walking means you're more likely to trip because you're not truly aware of where your foot is. You're not lifting your foot, and you're tense. Cat isn't tense. Like
Yes.
the visualization of a cat walk, the cat is not tense. The cat is just placing their foot where they want to place their foot. they're shifting their weight when it's time to shift their weight. There's just this natural awareness of space and the pressures, and therefore you're not going to see a cat typically trip. They're just
Yes.
going to be having. They're just basically going to be aware of where they are. And then the bear walk is more about strength, and I think about strength from the perspective of when you can move your muscles under control and control all of your body weight in those different directions. You're much less likely to. You're more able to recover if something were to happen than you would otherwise, and therefore the likelihood of a fall goes down a lot.
Yes, absolutely. And just making those changes can be a drastic improvement in one's health and well-being. And also the fear factor, as you mentioned, if you feel that your legs are stronger, because what happens, why do we fall after a certain age more easily than others? Because our muscles don't have that ability to reconnect to the ground, to be sensed. And it's also more than just the muscle, it's also the nervous system. The nervous system has that ability to know where your body is in space, what we call proprioceptors, and Tai Chi works on that. So the Tai Chi animal walks, as we call them, I know there's other books that talk about Tai Chi walks. They might be a little bit different, but in this one, we just taken these three concepts of the cat, the rooster, and the bear, and apply them. And it's kind of fun to do, because you're challenging your balance. However, you can do it in the house. You can do it outside at the park, and you can mix them up. Later on, you will be able to mix up some of these walks to have a diversity, not to make it so boring, to put them in an exercise plan, and to have a 30-minute pattern where you might do 5 minutes of one and 5 minutes of the other.
And again,
And then,
bring up the aspect of the prevention, of course, that you want to start these practices when you're healthy, when you are don't have major health issues, so that you can stay healthy, so you can prevent falls. So at some point, it's going to be too late. It's going to be too late to do some of these walks, and so it's like putting money in the savings account. You want to have a well-funded savings account. So when you need the funds, they're going to be there. But our lifestyle is such that we're spending, and I see some of our patients doing marathon running and these really intense exercises. And in our medicine, from our tradition, you really want to stay with low to moderate impact exercises, because some of the intense activity can be too depleting for certain people. And so I gently ask them, why don't you transition to walking? Here's the book. Here's
yeah, I'm gonna disagree with you slightly. And I'm
Okay.
just gonna say it's never too late to start a walking practice. Okay, and even these balance walks, you can use these techniques to improve your balance, even if you're already older, even if you've already fallen a couple
Yeah.
times. And so it's just start. You may not, yes, it would have been better to have planted this tree 20 years ago, and then you would be enjoying the shade. But plant the tree, get started, because you don't know. You might be here for another 20 years, and then you'll have shade of the tree.
I like that tree
I
analogy.
I'm backtracking, and I agree with you 100%, Alan.
Okay, so let's talk about the next one, because this was the one I actually, it was funny to be listening to this while I was
Yeah.
listening to this and thinking, okay, I'm doing the exact opposite of everything that I should be doing for this thing. And it's the mindfulness walk. And I've actually done mindfulness walks as a part of, like, I was at this event, a fitness event. And they're like, we're going to go on a mindfulness walk, and there was for lack of a better word, guide, and they were guiding us through the process of just being in our environment. We were in a more natural,
Yeah.
around a park area, which definitely makes these a lot nicer, and actually kind of more like was it called forest bathing? That's the kind of the
Yes.
Japanese concept of it. Can you talk about mindfulness walks, the basics of what that is and
Of course.
the value of it?
Of course. And, as we dove into some of the scientific research behind Tai Chi and Qigong and walking, really the key component is the mindfulness, which is not something, mystical or unapproachable. It just really means being, paying attention to the present moment, right here, right now. So feeling our bodies, feeling our breath, any sensation in the body, tightness, tension, and being fully with it instead of thinking about the past or planning for the future, being right here, right now. And that is such a wonderful, has such health benefits for us. So walking with intention, walking with awareness, and listening to music could be a sound meditation. So that's can also be very beneficial. We have an audio format of the book, so that's also good to listen to the instruction. That's very good. But you can also try just walking in silence and being fully with your own body, mind, and heart. An incredibly powerful exercise and way of being. And then you can bring that to your daily life. When you practice that in movement, you can also bring it to anything that you're doing. Washing your dishes, doing the laundry, getting your children ready for school. So that attention to the present moment can bring a lot of happiness and health effects.
Yeah, it's definitely a down regulator of your parasympathetic, and you're able to kind of bring yourself down, and that ability to do it, particularly in today's age of social media and email beeps and bumps and every minute, in your phone, and it's like, where are you? What are you doing? And every moment is like scripted, and you're on a leash, and it's like, you got to do this now, and okay, we got to get this done and get that done, and we're 1,000 different things. To just be able to take even just 5 minutes to just be you, to breathe, to feel your insides, to be aware, to not judge, just experience and let it be. I think the value of that is huge, and I think the movement component makes it so much better than just like sitting in a quiet room, or even a room with some slight music, or even and you can, and a lot of these meditations, a lot of them that are more of the body mind awareness, you can do while walking. They tell you to be aware of your feet on the ground, be aware of your body in a chair. Well, I propose you don't have to be in a chair. You can be walking, you can be in a park, you can be in, on a treadmill if you have to, because there's some parts of the United States, particularly right now, where you don't want to be outside, it's too cold. But I think it's just a really good opportunity for you to down regulate in a world that is so upregulated all the time.
Absolutely.
And the one thing I think we also added in this mindful walking is a couple of the mudras, the hand positions that are quite beneficial, and those have been used for thousands of years as a centering mechanism. So the mudra just will center your body in a specific mind-body set.
Cool. Okay, so I'm going to ask each of you this question, and I'm a traditionalist, so I'm going to go ladies first. So Dr. Kim.
I think he's...
I think you froze.
Okay, I'm back. Am I back?
Yeah. Yes, you're back. You're back.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that. Yeah, my connection. But okay, we're about 30 minutes in. I'll have to have my audio guys take a look at this. I'll pause for just a minute and then I'll get started. So for this last question I ask on every episode, I'm a bit of a traditionalist, so I'm going to go ladies first. So Dr. Kim, I define wellness as being the healthiest, fittest, and happiest you can be. What are 3 strategies or tactics to get and stay well?
Definitely movement. This book is all about movement. Nutrition, we have a short section in the back about nutrition because that's such an important factor for health and wellness. And sleep, and potentially we'll talk about that in our next book, but sleep is a critical factor for health and wellness. And so encourage our audience to focus on those three aspects to maintain health, to regain health and wellness.
Okay. So, Dr. Mora-Marco,
Yes.
I'll ask you the same question.
Well,
I define wellness as being the healthiest, fittest, and happiest you can be. What are three strategies or tactics to get and stay well?
yeah, so I'm not going to repeat what Dr. Yoon says, so we have to be a little bit more creative. I think the first one I'm going to say it's what they would say in China, the E, the mind intent, or in Tibet it's called Rigpa, the mind focus, the mind intent, which we can see it also as positive thinking, positive affirmation. There was this great psychologist, a chemist named Emile Coulet that said, today I'm better than yesterday, and tomorrow will be better than today. Just keep that positivity in your life. No matter what hardships are around the corner, you keep on going forward. Keep positive. So that's one aspect that you can look at. The other one is also to build a community, to have your relative, your friend, church members, synagogue member, whatever it is, the Sangha members, have a community, and then of course be able to integrate things like exercise, diet, nutrition, mind, spiritual practices, meditative aspects, all those as a package. And everybody's individual. Some people will do better with one aspect than the other, and you have to see what your path is and what is the best path for you individually at this time in space and at your age. Obviously, if you're 20, it's not to be the same as when you're 60 or 70 or 80 or 90.
Yeah, I'll piggyback on that and really emphasize the importance of camaraderie. And we hope that people can get together and have walking clubs and do these movements together because it's wonderful to do it by yourself, but I think the health benefits are multiply when you're with the group and there's that camaraderie, there's that collective enjoyment, being with each other, and that really is our vision for the future.
Yeah, and I think
And that
we
and
see.
that is a core element. You brought up the blue zones earlier in this conversation, and the camaraderie and the community is also a very big part of the success for those folks, and why they are a blue zone is having that as a part of their social structure. All right. Well, doctors, if someone wanted to learn more about you or the book, Walking Your Way to Vitality, where would you like for me to send them?
We can be found on Instagram at Emperor's Wellness.
And we do
And
have a new Instagram page. It hasn't really had much posting. It's called Walking Yourself to Vitality, which is coming up. Which have
Okay.
events or retreats, whatever we're going to be doing in the future.
Okay. I'll be sure to have those links in the show notes. So thank you. And thank you both for being a part of 40 Plus Fitness.
Thank you, Allan.
thank you
Thank
very
you for
much.
having us here, and thank you for all the amazing work you're doing for health and wellness.
If you enjoyed today's show, please take a moment to subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And if you would, please leave us a rating and review on your podcast player of choice. Next time on the 40 Plus Fitness podcast, we meet Bill Gifford and discuss his book, Hotwired, How the Hidden Power of Heat Makes Us Stronger. Until then, have a happy and healthy week.